Good morning, everyone. We are back again here at Families Empowered with another couple of schools to introduce you to. Today, I'm really excited because we've got both Basis Austin Primary and Basis San Antonio Northeast. So we're hitting really two of our cities. Super excited about that. It's a first for us. So thank you guys for being here. I haven't talked to you guys in a while. We've been spreading around our staff members doing these lives, which has been really exciting for us. So my name is Ayla. I am the Marketing and Communications Manager here at Families Empowered. And I am just so excited to be on here to be talking about the 2021 school year because we've got new campuses, new things to know, new things to hear about. So I will go ahead and let Chris and Roz jump right into it. Roz, tell us who you are. Tell us who you're with.
Sure. Hi, my name is Rosalind Thompson. I am the head of school at the brand new Basis Austin Primary. I've been with Basis about 7.5 years, and this will be the 4th campus that I have opened. I love working with the primary grades. That's just really special to me. I'm currently still in Arizona, getting ready to move to Austin, and I'm very, very excited to be joining that incredible community. Thank you.
Awesome. We're excited to have you here in Texas. Chris, let's hear about San Antonio.
Yes, we're excited to have Roz in Texas too. So Roz has me beat by a few months. She's been with the network just a little bit longer than me. I'm going into my 7th year with the network. Was a math teacher before I joined Basis. Did that for 10 years, and I joined Basis as a math teacher in Prescott, helped open that campus. The next year, we expanded to a K through 12 campus, so we basically opened twice, and I was a director there, and then also a director at one of our private school affiliates in McLean, Virginia. And I'm the head of school for Basis San Antonio Northeast, our brand new campus on the northeast side of town. And we're opening as K-5, and we will eventually be a full K through 12 school, which is where my experience is. So a wide depth from the 5-year-olds all the way to the 18-year-olds eventually. But I'm really excited, super excited to be here in Texas. It's been really kind of mind-blowing how nice and welcoming the community has been for me. So.
Yes, well, we're glad to have you, and I'm really excited to talk about these brand new campuses. It's such an opportunity for families, and especially now with the pandemic, it's hard to go out and tour and ask questions and meet people in person. So we're really excited to have both of you guys. Before we hop into some of these questions we've got loaded up, I do want to remind everyone, if you'd like to be entered for our raffle to win the $25 HEB gift card, all you have to do is comment on this video. We'd love to hear your questions. If you don't have a question because we've already answered all of them, feel free to just say hello. But all you need to do is get that comment in there. And we've already got a couple people commenting, so hello to you all. So let's jump into it. Let's start, Roz, with you. There in Austin. Tell me a little bit about the mission of the campus. It's a brand new campus in Austin. And then also tell me about the exact grade levels that are going to be served.
Sure, I'll start there. So we too are going to be we're going to be serving a little bit smaller than Chris. We are looking at K4 because the building that we are in this year is smaller. So we will have K4. Our mission in the primary is simple. We just want to get kids to love learning. And so we really work with our teachers and our staff to make everything that we do engaging with the kids. As Basis, you may know that we have a pretty rigorous curriculum, and we do teach a little bit ahead of grade. And so like our kindergarten program is largely a 1st grade program, but we find that the kids can really do it, and they love doing it. They love having that challenge. So that's where we're headed. In Austin, again, we want to open hopefully 3 campuses. We will be K-12 eventually also. So it's very exciting to open a new market.
Yeah, that is so exciting. I know we're doing the same thing in San Antonio. Chris, tell me a little bit more. I know you mentioned eventually K-12, same thing, but tell me where we're starting for 2021 and kind of, what that basis model really means for the school day for kids.
Yeah, so we're starting as a K-5, and then we'll be growing year over year, so K-6 the next year. And so Roz really summed it up in the youngest grades. It really is about jumpstarting that love of learning, providing them the foundational skills to be able to go forward as our curriculum progresses into some more content. Because it really comes down to, we want the students to be empowered to be able to go forth and change the world for the better. And so it's really about inspiring that love of learning, inspiring that joy that learning and hard work it's fun, it's engaging, and that's for both teachers and for students. That hard work, it's part of who we are. It's part of in our nature to, it's a challenge is an opportunity. I guess is the way that I would kind of phrase that. And so that's at the heart of what we do as a network. It's at the heart of what we do kind of as a school, is to inspire that joy with that rigor that Roz talked about within our curriculum.
Yeah. So let's talk about the 2021 school year. It's when you're opening up, which we're heading into, from what it seems like is going to be an endless summer because we've all been home for so long and the kiddos too. What are y'all? I'd love to hear what y'all are most looking forward to in the next school year, because it will be very different for students coming off of distance learning.
Yeah, I'll jump in first, and then
Okay.
Roz and I could both talk all day about the curriculum.
Yeah,
Right.
I think what I'm looking forward to most is really, number one, just seeing children and humans again. It would be a really good start. But building that community, I think that's really part of the wonderful thing about starting a new school, is that chance to build that community from scratch and really band together. And there's a huge amount of joy in doing that, and just building that shared vision and community with each other. That's really what I'm looking forward to the most, and that opportunity just to get together and to get back to a little bit of a sense of normalcy, hopefully is what I'm looking forward to the most. But community I would say is my number one thing.
And I would echo that, Chris. I think both of us are already talking to the families that have registered, at least virtually, and it hopefully, if everything goes as we'd like, to have children in the building, have a whole new set of teachers, and building that culture and community is what I'm really looking forward to. Since we've been out since early March, that kind of falls apart. And as much as we try to do things virtually with our teachers and students, it's just not the same. So fingers crossed, we'll be back in our buildings with children and teachers and staff, and we can all celebrate.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a celebration for everyone on that first day back, even the kids.
Right.
Oh, it's kind of what we're hearing from some students,
Right.
that they're ready to get back in the classroom. So speaking of getting back into the classroom, you guys have both touched a little bit on the rigorous academics that BASIS offers. How are you preparing for students who may have some delays in their learning from the previous school year because we've been dealing with distance learning?
I think, and I'll start with this one, Chris. I think that's going to be every school, not just BASIS. And we're already talking about it. We usually use at least the better part of the first grading period to, one, assess new kids, two, do a lot of review and see where kids are. And so in doing that, we'll just make that a little bit more rigorous, assuming that we're back in the classroom. That review will go a little bit deeper, probably more content teaching than content review, because we know not only there's always a gap over the summer, kids kind of regress a little bit, but they've been out of school for 3 months at that point, March, April, May, yes. They'll have been out of school for 2.5, 3 months. And so as much as we have done for distance learning, it's really, it's not the same as being in the classroom with a teacher.
Yeah, and I'm gonna, with that part of opening, and Roz and I have both done this multiple times, is, that's part of what we account for anyway when we're opening a new school. We're not expecting our students to, when we've been open for 3 or 4 years and our kids have come through our program, through that's a different case than where we are as an opening school anyway. And so that's always something we account for and adjust for, because they're not in the same spot. And so it's working with them at meet them where they're at, making sure that we provide, the supports and the systems in place to make sure we do that. I think that's part of what's really special about our primary program is kids can come in at any point throughout that program, because we have a 2-teacher model, because we have so many supports kind of built into that program. I think we're in a really fortunate place as students are coming back. As Roz said, without school for these 3 months, it's going to be 5 months since they've kind of seen, normal school. And so it's really thinking about it. We're having deep discussions as school leaders and really planning for that. And it's being cognizant of a lot of things like, as we balance homework when they first come back, getting them used to the fact that that's a different thing. They haven't had homework. They've been, it's all been homework, and
it's all homework.
Right. Yeah. It's all homework. Right. Yeah. With people who, the parents have done a phenomenal job, but they're not teachers. So we will be preparing our teachers this summer, I think, to hit that mission, to be able to, when we open a new school, because we are a public charter school, we never know who we're going to get. And so it's just at the next level. We're getting a bunch of new kids who, as Chris said, have been off of school for 5 months, and we'll deal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So we've got a great question from a parent in the chat who is interested in BASIS for their first grader. And they're curious to just hear if the program would be too rigorous for him to start, because he didn't attend a BASIS as a kindergartner. And he was just starting to learn to read right when COVID hit. And so we've touched on that. And I know you mentioned your 2-teacher model. That may be a great way to sort of help the Ramirez family know whether or not this might be a good fit for them.
Yeah, I saw that question, and it made me smile, because we hear that question a lot, and I think that is the beauty and one of the underpinnings of BASIS, is that we can take any child where they are, and we will do everything that we can to make that child successful. And the 2-teacher model helps us to do that, because we can do small groups, we can do one-on-one, we can do interventions with individual children. And our goal is to get the kids to their own potential. So no, the bottom line, and Chris, you can add some more, the bottom line is no, everybody's going to be coming in not having, in first, second, third, fourth, and in Chris's case, fifth, without having, a BASIS background. But we will make them BASIS kids very quickly.
Yeah, and they become kind of those things that we do refer to within our network as BASIS kids, and that foundation is it's that joy of learning that Roz talked about earlier. And then it's also as long as people are willing to work hard and put in the effort towards that, whether it's a first grader who's just now learning how to read, congratulations, by the way, that he made that progress. That's awesome. But getting through that, those supports and those systems in place. We have students coming in at 7th grade. Roz and I have both seen that, and they're able to be successful. But that's because we want to support them, and so as long as that work ethic and instilling that work ethic towards getting it, they make amazing strides, and very quickly are able to start seeing that level of success.
Right.
Awesome. So we've got another question, just in terms of support in the classroom from Colleen. Her daughter's dyslexic and has had to work really hard to learn to read. What kind of supports does BASIS have for kids with learning differences?
Go for it, Chris.
Thank you. This is one of the areas that's close to my heart. We have a lot of support systems in place. So to start with, we do screening for every child for dyslexia in the youngest grades at the beginning of the year. It's part of what we do. And then we also have a number of other screeners, both internal and some nationally referenced ones, in order to make sure that we are pinging any flags to make sure that we are identifying students who need extra support. So in addition to the two-teacher model, though, which is phenomenal and provides the supports that for a lot of students, not just students with specialized needs. We are a public open enrollment, charter school. We take all students. We are for any student. And so we do have a fully staffed and decked out special ed department, special ed coordinators, assistants, ESL coordinator, depending on the size of the campus, to really provide those supports for students, to work with them. We work on training all of our teachers on those intervention systems as well. So we've got an entire week set aside, Roz and I, already for our new teachers to work with our literacy program and really how those interventions are going to play a role there as well with the students who are learning how to read. We use Logic of English for both our core literacy as well as our interventions. And so there is a lot. We have a lot of students who have special needs, and they're able to be successful because we want to provide them those supports. It's an area that's super important to me. It's part of why I wanted to move here to Texas, was really to make sure that I would continue to be in a school that provided that. I've got a number of family members who have special needs, and so it's an area close to my heart.
It really is. And as I've been, and not on purpose, but as I've been recruiting teachers, it seems like more and more teachers are drawn to the special ed side of teaching. And I'm thinking at my staff that's coming in that I have a couple of people who have special ed backgrounds and one who has a specialty in dyslexia. I didn't hire for that, but we have it along with our special ed coordinator who handles that and trains our teachers and works with these kids. It's becoming more and more and more a part of this. And so we're happy to have all kids.
That's so great to hear. And we've got another question from Christina, kind of touching on what we can expect in the wake of this COVID-19 pandemic we're dealing with. She's curious to know if we do have to stay virtual in the fall, which I think lots of schools are preparing for and potentially expecting. Can parents expect one-on-ones with students and teachers? How would that function for your campuses?
I think, we both say, we're preparing for the worst and hoping for the best, but BASIS as a network went virtual in 3 days. And our teachers, since, schools shut down in different states at different times, but in Arizona, where I am at the moment, we never came back from spring break, which was the second week of March. Our teachers have been one-on-one with kids, have been classroom via Zoom, via Teams, via any software they could use since March. And so I would think, going into, if we have to go into virtual or stay in virtual in August when we're supposed to open, those same kinds of supports will be there for the kids. I know, back to the special ed question, I know here at my campus in Arizona, my special ed staff has been one-on-one and on the phone or on computers with the special ed kids on a daily basis, as have my math teachers. So that won't be new to us.
Yeah, no, I think it's something, to Rose's point, I've been blown away by how well our teachers, and how quickly they shifted and they adapted and, became professional video editors overnight and everything like that.
It's amazing some of the things they've done, right?
It's that one-on-one part. I know, I've been on a bunch of special ed calls, throughout the network where they're able to touch base with each other and kind of talk about best practices. I think that's part of where we're fortunate to be part of a wider network is we have 29 schools where we can, share ideas and best practices and everything like that. And I think that's helped us kind of pivot and respond to the students' needs pretty phenomenally. So yeah, Ross turned up the question. I just wanted,
Awesome.
I got to talk, so.
We do this all the time because we're on a lot of calls together. We ping off of each other.
Great. So again, we've got these parent questions rolling in. I love them. Miss Pamela is wondering, are you at your individual campuses in Austin and San Antonio going to have any sports or after school programs, extra things for the kiddos?
So we do two things after school, three things really. We have a aftercare program that's fee-based that starts from dismissal and goes till 6 o'clock. And during this time, the kids have some recreation time, but they also start their homework and, with the teachers that are still there and get some of that done before they get home. We also will both have a strong extracurricular program, probably, starting not long after school. And again, parents can choose which clubs and activities they want their kids to go into. At the primary, we don't do a lot of sports. They do learn skills for sports in our PE program, but if we can, for instance, on my current campus, I had a great basketball program. I had a cross-country program. We will we'll do what the kids want and what the teachers can teach.
Yeah, I think that's what's really special about the clubs throughout our network is that it's based on really teacher passion and interest in what they want to do. So whether it's a knitting club or a robotics club or a gardening club, it's the teachers, hey, I think this is really cool, and that passion for something that's just unique and different. Chance for the kids to engage in that. And then, the competitive sports usually don't start until grades 4 or 5. But in the younger ones, it's, there might be a basketball club where the kids are learning how to dribble and everything like that. I've coached many a 5-year-old in basketball, and it's fun. It's learning those different pieces.
I had a volleyball club with kinder and first, and before we gave them balls, they were trying to hit balloons over the net. So we'll do what the kids want and what we have a teacher that can sponsor and facilitate.
Great.
One thing, Roz, that I think you were going to get to, because you only mentioned 2 things we have to go in. The third one is student hours.
Thank you. Yes, that was the third one. How'd you know that?
So all of our teachers, additionally after school, all of our teachers have at least an hour a week. Many have more than that, for students to be able to come in and get some extra help, and that's completely free. And it's part of our program for kids to be able to, if they miss school, if they want enrichment in a topic, they can go in and get extra math help or get extra, just go in and learn more math because they're interested in math, or whatever it might be. So that would be the third thing.
Great.
I see a question that I will just jump in. The after school program, the aftercare is fee-based, as are our extracurriculars. So the after school program runs about $200 a month. We're both working on budgets right now to figure out exactly what that would be. And then the clubs and activities can be anywhere from $25 to $250, depending on what the program is.
Okay. Yeah, good to know. And thank you for that question, Zarella. So we've got another question from Allison, just kind of speaking to the school and how it works. Is there transportation offered?
We do not. We don't offer transportation. Charter schools, as I'm sure you all know, are funded at a lower level. We're also drawing from so many different areas with all of our schools. So we don't offer transportation. Oftentimes our boosters will help connect each parents with each other for parents who may live close to help set up and facilitate carpools. But that's something we're fortunate at a lot of our campuses. Our boosters help people facilitate that to make it work.
Good to know. Good to know. And that's the same for both San Antonio and Austin.
Yes, right.
Okay. So Cindy has got a question specifically relating to San Antonio campus. She's curious to know what time the school day is going to start and what time it's going to end. So what are your hours?
That's a great question. So it is different depending on the grade level. So we kind of do staggered start and dismissal times, partly because the length of the school day is a little bit different for each grade level. And partly, as everyone knows, parking lot can be a little bit of an issue. So doing staggered start stop times helps make that run very efficiently. So kindergarten goes from 7:35 to 3 o'clock. Grades 1 through 3 at our campus are going to be going 7:35 to 3:25. And then grades 4 and 5 will be 8 o'clock to 3:45. We do have a before care program starting at 7 o'clock that is completely free. So drop your kids off as soon as at 7:01 if you want, no matter which time they start. And then that late bird program that Roz referred to at our campus will begin at 4 o'clock. And so if you have multiple siblings and things like that, you do not, please don't come back 3 different times to pick up your kindergartner, your first grader, and your 5th grader. Just pick them all up at 3:45.
Okay, awesome. So Cindy's also curious so I know we talked a little bit about distance learning and if we have to do it again in the fall, but I think she's got a great question in that she's curious to know, is the course load going to stay the same for distance learning as in the physical class?
So far it has, right.
Yeah.
The teachers by grade level and by subject have issued assignments across the board. So yes, we will still have distance. If we have distance learning, we will have distance learning in all subjects. What many of the schools did, including the campus that I currently supervise, we did that with their academics, and then we scheduled kind of, because we didn't want them missing out on their specials, the engineering, the music, the art. And we would schedule those, a couple of times a week, because the kids love those and they take them a couple of times a week. So that's what we did. But we will not change our curriculum. We're only changing how we teach it.
Yep.
Awesome. And then one last question from Cindy, specifically for the San Antonio campus. Do you have a playground?
Yes, we do. We have a
Awesome.
playground. We actually have 2 playgrounds in one. There's a separate space within it for kindergarten. And then we also have a giant field out back where part of it will eventually be where our middle and high school is. But we also have that field and kind of a jogging trail around there as well. So, yep, plenty of outdoor space at our campus. We are fortunate.
Great. So Ms. Sardella is asking if the kids are going to wear uniforms.
No, we believe in kids being the individuals that they are. And so our dress code for both kids and our teachers is appropriate. So, we don't want kids coming in with, negative things on their t-shirts, but other than that, they are free to wear what they want.
Great. A great question from Pilar. We've heard a little bit about the special ed preparations and supports that you have, but her son is a gifted and talented kiddo, and he loves his math. What kind of support do you have for a kiddo who's in that type of gifted and talented program in their current school, coming over to Basis to get them on level with everyone else and to keep up that rigor?
Go ahead, Chris.
I'm a math teacher.
Yeah.
I'm still a math teacher. So love the fact that your kid loves math. So we have a number of things. So one, because our program is typically accelerated, we are able to meet kind of a lot of the needs of a lot of those gifted and talented kids just through that aspect of things. our teachers are what we refer to as subject expert teachers, meaning they are experts in what they are in that specific field they're teaching. I myself was a math subject expert teacher. And so because they have that expertise and that kind of passion around that particular subject, that also goes a long way towards helping meet the needs of a lot of those gifted and talented kids, because I'm not just kind of, I can teach English. I'm not going to lie. I can teach it, but I'm not going to be as passionate about it and have the background knowledge to kind of help the student explore and expand their knowledge around particular topics. But with math and with science, I can do that because I have that knowledge and that passion and that background to, within class, be able to help differentiate some of that. We also, virtually all of our campuses, we love competitions. And so things like Math Counts and Math League, we are actively engaged in those kind of things, as well as from an extracurricular standpoint, to get the students engaged with that. And then, that math program, all of our students take calculus before they graduate. Most of them are taking it their sophomore year of high school. So they get there and then they take vector calculus and, linear algebra and everything like that when they're done with that in our high school.
I think that's one of the things that BASIS does best is, I go back to what I said before, we meet the kids where they are. If a kid needs more challenge, we can provide that. If a kid needs support to get up to speed, we provide that. And again, particularly in the primary, that's so helped by the 2-teacher model, because we can make that happen right in the classroom.
Yeah, and I think the other part of that is it's not just math. We have a full liberal arts curriculum, so there are a lot of other different things. So we're able to engage the students with, an amazing 4th grade U.S. history class that's taught by somebody who loves and is passionate about history. And so it engages them in all of those other aspects as well. I think that's part of what's really special about that full liberal arts curriculum we have.
Wonderful. So EJ is asked a question about enrollment for families relocating. It looks like his family's relocating to San Antonio. And Pilar had a similar question about registration. Walk us through enrollment and registration for both Austin and San Antonio.
Sure. We have a website that you can go to. It's called enrollbasis.com. Enrollbasis.com. You choose the school that you're interested in. You at this point, you will fill out an application. If there is room in that grade at whatever campus you would like, then you'll get an offer for what we call a seat. Then you have to do all the normal school paperwork, and then you're registered. So, immunization records, proof of residency, all of that, and that can all be done virtually at this point with our registrars. So absolutely, enrollbasis.com and pick the school you'd like.
Awesome. So speaking of if there's space available, tell me at your campuses, where do you have seats available? What grades are open?
Chris?
Yeah, so we currently have seats available at all of our grades, K through 5. We have space in our building. We're fortunate to be able to have space because we are going to be growing into the facility next year as well. But we currently have seats available in K through 5.
And I have seats available in K through 4. I think, COVID has made enrollment a little bit slower this year than it has been in other years. Parents just trying to figure out what they do want to do, but we're filling up fast. So I would say, get your application in for either campus as quickly as possible. We made some major strides last week, so we will fill up.
Great. That's such an opportunity. So in Austin, you've got seats for K through 4, and San Antonio, you've got seats for K through 5. So it's a great opportunity for families. So are you going to have any other type of info sessions for parents as we get a little closer, now that things are kind of calming down a little bit at home for lots of our families? How can parents ask those real in-person questions that they need to know specific for their kiddos?
Yeah, so I'll go first. Sorry, Russ.
No, go ahead.
So I do basically weekly. I have some sort of informational event. So they alternate for my campus between some kind of more formal info sessions where I take a deep dive into the curriculum, and then we have time at the end for some question and answer period. And then that alternates with what I call coffee talks, mostly because I drink coffee while we're doing them, whether it's 9 a.m. or 4 in the afternoon. And so that's an opportunity it's a little bit more informal. So I take a very quick dive into who we are and what we do. And then that is run with as well my head of operations and both of my directors, who are student support and teacher support personnel on our campus. And so that's a chance with those coffee talks. It's a little bit more informal and to hear multiple voices. To see how to sign up for any of those, if you go to www.basissanantonionortheast.org, I know that's a long URL, but www.basissanantonionortheast.org. All of our events are on there, and I think I have all of mine all the way up through the end of June on there. And then hopefully we'll be able to do some in-person ones when the pandemic and social distancing, and then also when the construction on my building is finished at the end of June, I'm hopefully be able to get in there.
Great.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing. We do an info session and the coffee chats also. You can also email either one of us. My email is rosalind.thompson@basised.com, and Chris is the same protocol, chris.ferguson@basised.com, and ask your questions. I'm spending a lot of time answering individual questions with parents on email, but those events, if you will, are on both of our websites, and you can sign up for them there.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I'm spending a lot of time on email and on the phone, just making sure that we want people to have the answers to their questions. We're both big believers in making sure that their families are fully aware of who we are and answer all their questions.
Great. So, Chris, I know you mentioned that construction is planned to be finished in June on that campus, but Jessica was also curious to know when can kiddos tour? Do you have exact dates for that yet with the pandemic? But also, do you guys know when you're planning on opening your first day of school?
Yes. So the first day of school is August 17th. That is no matter what. Hopefully it is bricks and mortar and normal. But if not, we are fully prepared, and students will be able to be online. And we'll make sure they have devices if they need them and everything like that to be able to do distance learning. But August 17th is the first day of school. The week before that is our welcome week. So we have a couple of days where kiddos and their parents come in, pick up schedules. We also partner with EduKit for school supplies, so they can pick up their school supplies then if they ordered them through EduKit. At that time, it's a really good community time for them to be able to come along. Again, assuming social distancing and everything, we're able to work around that. Really tour the building, get to see each other, get to meet their teachers in a very informal setting. Some of our students also do what we call Boss Camp. It's BASIS Organizational Skills for Success. We are doing that the week of July 27th on our campus. And so that's an opportunity for students to come in. They learn some of the basic curriculum. They learn how to do things like annotate and stuff like that, and really just kind of start to get engaged in that process coming in. And so they'll get to tour the building then. So that is when we are, again, assuming that we're able to come back and do that through all that. But in the meantime, we do have on our Facebook page, our head of operations is doing awesome Construction Tuesday videos to kind of keep people tracking and getting to see some of the interior space and everything like that. So as the construction is going on, and then continuing with virtual tours from that aspect of things on our Facebook page.
Great. And Roz, what about for Austin? What's your first day of school?
It's the same, August 17th, with the same kind of pre-events, if you will. The kiddos can come to Boss Camp. We also do kind of a Boss Camp for parents and on an evening to kind of just get them used to, here's what BASIS is all about. And assuming, we can get in the building, as soon as we can get in the building, and COVID hopefully goes away a little bit, then we can do tours. We do have, and it's on our Facebook page, we have a virtual tour that just got finished last Friday. So you can see that if you go to our Basis Austin primary Facebook page. And we're going to make even a bigger one just in case. But yeah, we've got virtual tours going on.
That's awesome. I
love that. That's great. Yeah, I love that you've got a virtual tour. That's so helpful. So jumping back into the classroom, Cindy is curious to know what your typical class sizes are.
So with 2 teachers in the classroom in grades K through 4, the first year out, we try and keep it around 30. So it's about a 1 to 15 ratio.
Same.
Awesome. Good to know. So while we're talking about that classroom class size, tell me a little bit about what the typical day of classroom learning looks like for students. What does that look like in Basis?
I'll take kinder, Chris, and then you can take the above, okay? Our kinder, which is just a great entry point, and I'm hoping to have 4 kinder classes next year. Kinder is fairly self-contained, so they are in their classrooms with their 2 teachers most of their day. We're still working schedules. We like to, maybe send them to the music room if we can for music, but if not, if schedules don't allow for that, then we bring the music teacher to them. So the kinders will typically have their academic classes in the morning. And so their literacy, their math, their civics, history, and science, they'll have that in the morning, and then they'll have their specials in the afternoon, being the arts, all the arts programs, and their engineering and their Mandarin. And then Chris can talk about 1 through 3 because that's very different.
Yeah, you didn't mention the recesses, by the way.
Oh, recesses and lunch, yes, and snack in kinder.
Yeah. It's always important to mention the recess.
Right.
So grades 1 through 3, students travel actually between classes. So they basically have 4 sections throughout the day that are 85 minutes long each. So they'll have a math and science block and a humanities block, and then a specials block, 85 minutes, it's on a rotation, and then PE and some literacy classes that are split up. They have recesses between each of those sessions, so they have recess throughout the day, but that traveling between classes is actually really intentional. So they have that 85-minute class where they are taking brain breaks and doing a number of different activities within that 85-minute math and science class. But then they get to get up, they get to move around a little bit, they get those wiggles out. They also then learn how do you transition between classes. And it also, I think, keeps the kids a lot more organized. I know I was probably the worst 3rd grader ever when it came to organization. My desk was horrible, a giant. I was the one stuffing the papers in there. But the kids get to travel from class to class. And so they're able to really each time work on that organization. And then they get those wiggles out. They have those recesses. And then starting in grade 4, it looks more like what people think of as a traditional like middle school bell schedule. They have 50-minute classes on a rotation and things like that. So transitions throughout the grade level. So in a very structured in kindergarten, and then a little bit more freedom, and then a little bit more freedom as they get older.
I'll just add that they're not transitioning alone. That's where our learning expert teachers come in, who are typically have an elementary ed background, so they know kiddos, and they are responsible for transitioning them. But it's a skill that we are trying to teach the kids to be that organized, to be to learn those transitional skills, to be able to know what their next class is and what they need for it. And the learning expert teacher helps with that.
Yeah, I think that's thank you for making sure you mentioned the LET on that. I just assume everybody knows that.
No, right, yeah.
I like your point of those are skills that need to be taught. These don't come naturally to students. Some of these things, these
Right.
junior scholar skills, we have to teach them to students. And I think, the LATs do an amazing job of that in the younger grades.
Wonderful.
It's always surprising to parents that we start that in first grade, but you'd be amazed at how much those first graders can do. And, looking at them on the first day of school versus the last day of school, how much they grow by doing those transitions.
Yeah. And that goes to them feeling empowered that it's their own education too, that it's really like they can do it. They are responsible for it. They can rise. They walk around. It's the same thing with the kindergartners who walk around in the morning like they own the place. They very quickly, they learn those routines. They know how to do it, and they take pride in that.
Wonderful. So a quick question for you, Chris. The Ramirez's are wondering, are you going to teach Mandarin at your campus? Because they heard a little rumor that it might be Spanish instead.
We do not have Spanish at our campus. We also, at our campus, we won't be starting a foreign language as part of our curricular program until grade 5, where students take Latin in grades 5 and 6, and then in grade 7, they get to choose a foreign language that they want to take. In our primary program, we have a science literacy class that we're really excited to pilot at our campus. It was something we noticed was really something we wanted to offer additional pieces of. And we're fortunate at our campus, our engineering teacher is the subject advisor for the entire network. And so she's also helping to create and pilot the science literacy class. So she's going to be the subject advisor for that as well. So that's what we're offering at our campus. As far as the opportunity to learn foreign languages and to get exposure to that on our campus, we are actively looking at about half of my teachers are bilingual or trilingual or more, including things like Spanish, but also American Sign Language is something a number of my teachers said that they want to offer as clubs. And as Roz mentioned earlier, our clubs are based on student and teacher interest. And so there's a lot really interested in wanting to offer. I think I have 3 teachers who speak American Sign Language. And so they want to offer that as one of our clubs. So that's how we're going to kind of address some of the foreign language issue needs at our school.
I think the important thing that Chris said is that he is piloting that program. And that's something that BASIS does really well. We won't roll out a program to all campuses right away until we have a couple of years under our belt when we try something new, which we do quite frequently. But at my campus, we will have Mandarin, and at most of our campuses, we're still having Mandarin in kindergarten through 4th grade. But this new program that Chris is talking about is being piloted at several campuses.
Good to know. Great. Yeah, that's so interesting. So one thing that I do want to hear about that we haven't touched on yet, you mentioned a little bit earlier about building that community. I'd love to hear what your relationship is like with parents and families, and how you do build that community and how it engages kids in their learning.
Our families are our partners, and so we first off we have on probably the vast majority of our campuses a group of parents that form a nonprofit called our Boosters, and they support the campus in a variety of ways, from something like our lunch program all the way to fundraising and sponsoring dances, and things like that. So our Boosters are our real connection with our families, but our teachers and our staff are talking to parents all the time. We never want a parent to be surprised by how well or not so well their student is doing. So the teachers have the responsibility of communicating with their parents. In the primary, the LATs do a newsletter once a week that lets the parents know what's going on in the classrooms, the fun things as well as the academics. The school in and of itself does newsletters to parents. We have a communication platform called Parent Square, where we can communicate both individually and by grade with parents. And we have our communication journal, which kids get in kindergarten, get a new one every year, and we can communicate with parents through this planner that we use with the kids. But our community is our foundation.
Yeah. And then I think one of the other things that's key and different from what a lot of schools do is, instead of having kind of one like parent-teacher conference day in the fall, like a lot of schools have, all of our teachers have an hour a week set aside within the school day for them to meet with parents. And so a parent can make an appointment with any one of their child's teachers at any point they want throughout the school year, just to be able to touch base, whether it's just to kind of check in, get a quick update on how their student is doing, get that FaceTime with the teacher. But whether it's in September or December or April, that is an availability for every single one of our teachers to be able to connect with parents. And I think that is a huge part of making sure the parents are aware where the students are at and what we're doing and the supports that we have in place for their student.
I think that's so important, because I remember my parents and me with my kids, going to what I call that speed dating of parent conferences, where you really don't have time to dig deep with a teacher. And I think our way of parent emails teacher, says, I'd like to meet. Teacher says, when can you meet? They get together and they take as much time as they need to really dig deep into that child, so that the parents know, what they need to do, what the teacher is facing. And we say, an hour a week the teachers set aside. I don't know any teachers that, confine it to that hour. They will meet with parents when parents can meet. There's always parents in our conference rooms in the morning before school and after school and in the middle of the day, if the teacher has availability.
That's wonderful. Yeah, it's so important for parents that want to be engaged that they can be.
Right.
So that's great. And I think all parents want it and need it. So I love to hear it. So before we sign off, let's talk a little bit more again about enrollment and registration, especially with this uncertainty with, COVID, and nobody's really in office right now to answer phone calls and things like that. How can parents register? How can they enroll? But if they have questions or if they have issues, who can they go to? How can they get help? Like, for instance, Pilar's having a little bit of trouble with the website. Who can she go to?
So we both, phones are being answered. So whether or not we've forwarded the, for instance, in my case, because our campus isn't open yet, our phones are forwarded to our registrar. So you can call, and I know that Chris has something similar. If you're having enrollment problems, there within the enrollment site, you can see, I think it's enrollment info, not sure what the URL is, and our enrollment people at our central office will answer. So you will get answers. That's why, put up our emails, as well as you can dial our phones and you will get a live person.
Yeah,
Great.
and our phone numbers for our schools are both up on our websites,
Right.
As well as our personal email addresses. Those are absolutely being answered. And so, Pilar, if you want to send me an email, I will have my registrar give you a call today or tomorrow to walk you through, because that is odd. You should be able to register for, if you can get to the North Central, you should be able to get to the Northeast. So, but we can figure out what might be the issue with that. So just shoot me an email and have my registrar give you a call.
Wonderful. So it's enrollbasis.com, and you choose your school, you choose your campus, whether that be Basis Austin Primary or Basis San Antonio Northeast, and then you can get through the registration and enrollment. And if you've got troubles, give them a call, because somebody will answer and somebody will be able to help you out. Awesome. Thank you both so much for being here with us. We're coming up on an hour, so we want to let everyone get back to work, get back to their day, back to helping kids with their distance learning.
Right.
So it's been so wonderful hearing from both of you about these brand new campuses. It's such a great opportunity. Again, my name is Ayla. I'm here with Families Empowered. We work for families. We talk to families all day, every day. We're here to help answer those questions. We've got people on the phones all day, every day as well. So, I'd love everyone to feel free to give us a call if whether they've got questions about BASIS, any other school. We're happy. We're here to help. It's totally free. In Austin, anyone can reach us at 512-580-4046. And in San Antonio, we've also got callers on the line, and they can be reached at 210-263-3524. So we're here for y'all. We're here to answer your questions, and we're so excited to help parents figure out this crazy distance learning and getting back into school for 2021, because I know we're all ready.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ella. It was a pleasure talking with you today. And Roz, as always, it was a pleasure talking with you as well.
Thank you, Chris. Talk to you later.
All right.
Alrighty. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.